Should the US be more medically self-reliant? Many prominent American politicians believe the answer is yes. Why? Because the US is over-dependent on China for its medical supply. Surprise, surprise. The US demand of medical resources is surging due to COVID-19. There's a narrative that China would use this as an opportunity to strong-arm the United States. The over-dependency is feared not because of the number, but because of China's intentions. According to a study by Chad Brown at Peterson Institute for International Economics, before the trade war, the US kept relatively low tariffs on goods that are crucial to combat COVID-19 today. Each year, the US imported $5 billion of these products from China, roughly 26% of all US medical imports. However, the tariffs only diversified sources of import to a certain extent. Brown's study shows that out of the 16 categories of goods that are considered essential to COVID-19, tariffs only caused 6 to experience negative US import value growth rate in 2019. 10 of these US imports from China were still growing. And out of the 10, 4 imports experienced higher growth rates from China than from the rest of the world. Products like X-ray equipment, nitrile and sterile gloves, ventilators, oxygen masks, nebulizers and breathing masks were imported into the United States from China at a far greater rate. The fact is that bringing manufacturing back to the US isn't just picking up and dropping a factory onto American soil. The US simply lacks the necessary supply chain and manufacturing capability to produce some of the equipment on a massive scale. Take ventilators as an example. Ventilators are one of the items that the US has imported from China at a higher rate than other countries. Wu Chuanpu, Director of Supply Chain at Verdung.com, a leading platform in China connecting medical equipment suppliers and buyers, said that the expansion of the ventilator production line is very time-consuming and resource-intensive, adding that it also involves personnel training and that it's too cumbersome. According to a New York Times March 29th report, US public health officials drafted a plan 13 years ago to address the shortage of ventilators in the country. The plan failed after a company contracted to design the machine was bought by another company, meaning 0 ventilators were produced. It is estimated that the failure delayed the machine's development in the US by at least half a decade. The government only revisited this in 2014, but it wasn't until 2019 when the ventilator was approved. No actual products have been delivered yet. Both the number and the price of ventilators haven't helped the US during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is reported that a Houston-based contractor, David Lawless, sold 200 ventilators for $13 million. This means each machine had a price tag of about $65,000. New York State has been able to secure 17,000 ventilators from China at $25,000 apiece. Is China a major supplier of US medical resources? Yes. Is China responsible for the US dependency on these supplies? Only if one believes that trying to get ahead is wrong. If the cost-benefit equation works out in the US favor, companies and manufacturers would naturally choose the US. But until then, medical decoupling might not be such a great idea.